Meeting to order. Would you please, Amy, lead us in a pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice on the bulletin board and by emailing a copy of the notice along with the agenda of this meeting to the Press of Atlantic City, Atlantic County Record, Record Journal, and current newspapers stating this meeting would take place at 6:30 p.m. on Monday, May 18, 2015, in the Municipal Building, Mays Landing, New Jersey. Ms. Gatto?
Here.
Mr. Gouchard?
Present.
Mr. Kurtz?
Here.
Mrs. Link?
Here.
Mayor Silva?
Here. It's a good experience for Okay, the first item on the agenda is a moment of silence for private reflection. Next item is the adjournment to executive session. We will, at the end of this meeting, and any confirmation, if applicable, will be done at that time. 3, addition, deletion of late items for consideration tonight. Got this one.
Okay. Oh, the backwards, okay. So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Any questions or comments to the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Early public comment on agenda items not listed for public hearing.
No one has signed up, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Number 5, discussions. Remington and Vernick Engineers proposals for engineering and construction phase services excuse me, for the Leapy Track football field projects with funding from Capital Bond Ordinance 1787-2015. 1, proposed goalpost not to exceed $7,200, and 2, the scoreboard not to exceed $9,800. Mike?
Mr. Mayor, this is to get the field ready to play. We need the goalposts and a scoreboard. Now, there is anticipation that the scoreboard is going to be donated, so as we go through those specs, we'll need to have a conversation with the HYA.
Okay. But everything's within our capital budget allotment?
This is, the engineering is.
The engineering, yeah. Okay, great. Make a motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments to the motion? Can we have a voice roll call, Mrs. Anderson?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gouchard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
And Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carry.
B, introduction of ordinance 1791, 2015, amending Exhibit A, Section 1 of Chapter 66 of the Township Code to change the maximum hourly rate for special officers Class 2 to $20 per hour. The public hearing is to be held on June 2nd, 2015. Michael, just go ahead, or if you want the chief or you.
Well, I think I can speak. We've come to the conclusion that we need to raise the hourly rate for these positions because we're losing
Good
officers.
officers.
And we want to attract new ones. So the chief did a survey and found that they're paying about $20 an hour in the towns around us. So what we'd like to do is set our salary at $19. This is the maximum. This is for the salary ordinance. But they'd set the salary at 19 at the next meeting.
Okay.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments?
It's just an introduction.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. C, authorize application to the ACIA Economic Development Redevelopment Initiative for grants to facilitate redevelopment activity at the landfill redevelopment area. Lot 994, Lot 57, in the Hope Fire Company, Number 1, Building, Block 758, Lot 7. Michael?
Yes, sir. These are two projects that we were working on redevelopment with, and the county or the ACIA now has some grant opportunities. We're not sure they're going to get selected, but we thought we would submit them. One, because there's also some low-interest loan money that may be helpful to the landfill. And then ours, we need to do redevelopment for the American Legion building, so.
Okay,
Great.
good.
So it's the American Legion building that we're looking
Yes,
at?
yes.
That's the Hope
Okay.
Hope
Fire.
Company
yeah.
1.
I'll move item 5C.
Second?
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. C, authorize the purchase of police vehicles and equipment totaling $85,355.83, funding from police operating expenses. 2 Chevy Tahoes PPV vehicles from Mall Chevrolet Co-op contract number for $67,000, and 2 mobile video systems equipment from L3 Mobile Vision contract AB 1311 for $11,780.83, and 1 MDT system for patrol PC contract A81300 TO106, $6,575.
Good job with that mouthful there, Mayor.
Boy, that's getting a mouthful. Can we take them all together?
Unless one of you is opposed to any one of the three, you can take them together.
Okay, good.
I'll make a motion for all three together as it is part of our approved budget.
I'll second.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second. Could we have a voice vote on that, Mrs. Anderson?
Ms. Gatto,
Yes?
Mr. Gouchard,
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes,
Mayor Silva.
Yes,
All yes and carried.
thank you. 7, authorize the purchase of police vehicles and equipment totaling $90,734.06 with funding from the police operating expenses. 2 Dodge Charger vehicles from Heritage Fleet Services, Inc., state contract number A88729 for $54,614. Equipment and parts from Winter Ford, New Jersey State Contract 81336, 81327, 811165, totaling $36,120.06. Same thing? Same thing.
So
So
moved.
so
moved.
moved.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? Voice roll call, Mrs. Anderson.
Ms. Gatto,
Yes?
Mr. Gouchard,
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes,
Mayor Silva.
Yes,
All yes and carried.
thank you. Number 8, authorize the purchase of police vehicle and equipment totaling $65,097.50 with funding through Safe Corridors Grant. 1 Dodge Charger from Heritage Fleet Services, contract number A88729 for $27,307. And 1 emergency light equipment package from Winter Ford, New Jersey, contract numbers, I won't repeat all of them, for $6,462.92. 2 mobile video systems equipment from L3 Mobile Vision, contract number AB 1311 for $11,602.58. And number 3 MDT system from Patrol PC, contract A81300 for $19,725.
So moved.
Second.
second.
Motion is second on a mouthful. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You have
Got
to
a
do.
voice vote.
yeah,
Excuse me,
do-
Mrs. Anderson. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Gatto,
Yes?
Mr. Gouchard,
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes,
Mayor Silva.
Yes,
All yes and carried.
thank you.
Just want to, I think it's worth noting that we are getting substantial grants for these 3 items, so it's not all coming out of our pocket, and I don't think any of it is capital, is that right? Right,
None of it's capital.
none of it's capital. It's
grant
all,
money.
all,
No, it's all
all
cash.
grant or
Grant or
operating expenses.
yeah, number 8
Pay as you
is a grant.
Pay as you go, as the administrator said.
Number 9, approved contract, change order 1 for the Design Collaborative Architect Public Works Garage Alteration Project for reimbursable expenses, net increase of $521.76.
So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Any questions or comments? Can we have a voice roll call, please?
Ms. Gatto,
Yes?
Mr. Gouchard,
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes,
Mayor Silva.
Yes,
All yes and carried.
thank you. Number 10, award the solid waste collection contract, bid number 2015-2 to Waste Management based on a base bid amount effective July 1, 2015 through December the 21st, 2016, with 2 one-year extension options to be awarded at the discretion of the Township Committee for $292,002 for the remainder of 2015 15 and $584,004 per year for 2016 and 17, for a total cost of $1,460,010.
So moved.
Second,
Well, we'll get some questions or comments. Go ahead, Rodney.
I just want to say, this is a reduction from our current contract.
Yes,
So
it
it's-
is.
Great.
It's fantastic. Great job on our staff's part in getting
Absolutely.
good contract. And we did have competition on this also.
Yes. And I think since we went to containerized trash, it's proved to be very worthwhile and uniform, and I think we've had minimum problems, haven't we, Ingrid? Yes, good.
I'm happy to see Waste Management is winning that bid again, because they've really been a great corporate partner to us and the community, and I think that they should be recognized. Whenever we have a problem, I know they're very responsive, and they're always here to help when we're having either big events, whether it's a special event or it's a weather event. So I do want to recognize that.
Good.
Also,
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
also,
also
I'd like
don't-
to point out that if we had gone to another contractor, that we would have to change the containers, which is something that would be a big consideration. So I'm happy they came forth with a $75,000 savings.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate the comments. Can we have a voice roll
Ms.
call, Mrs.
Gatto?
Anderson, please?
Yes.
Mr. Gouchard,
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes,
Mayor Silva,
Yes.
all yes and carried.
Consent agenda. I want to pull off F.
okay.
Okay, motion for A through E.
Second?
A motion is second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. F, approve the lacrosse club request
Wait,
to...
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You all right?
Yeah.
Approve the lacrosse club request to place storage shed at Leapy Recreational Complex with conditions agreed to on May 13, 2015. Do you,
Yeah, I'd like to
John,
make
please?
some comments on that, sure. Before I do that, though, I'd like to mention that it's National Public Works Week this week, and I wanted to give a big shout-out to all our Public Works employees for the great job they do and all the hard work. Thank you.
I think
Thank
we
you,
all
John.
echo
That's
that.
We all agree
Yeah.
with that.
Amen. Brett, will you pass the applause on to them?
Literally, in the morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
On item F, at the last meeting, we tabled the request from the lacrosse club to place a storage shed at the Leapy track, and the reason for that was we felt that we needed some more discussion on that. We had a meeting, that discussion happened, and I believe we're going to approve that tonight. However, there were some conditions that were made to that, moving that storage shed out there, and I just wanted to just go over them real quick. The lacrosse club agreed that they would paint and match that shed to the newest shed that's out there. Also, they will share space in the shed with the Hamilton Youth Athletic Association if necessary. They will agree to that this is a temporary solution for storage and it will be removed when other storage becomes available. Also, they will agree to be responsible for the maintenance and repair of the shed. This shed was donated, and I think it's a good thing that we allow this shed to be moved out there. There are other sheds that are in the vicinity where this will be placed, and the concern from committee members and from other officials in the township where we wanted to eliminate a hodgepodge look, one shed purple, one brown, and it's a beautiful recreational area out there, and we wanted to try to keep it cleaned up. So that's why the reason we put some of the stipulations on this. And also, there is a planned 30 by 50 storage and unit for a snack stand, and it's going to have significant storage in it. That's planned, but again, it's planned. It's nothing that's absolutely solid right now, but that's why we put the temporary condition in so that the shed would be removed once other planned facilities are put into place. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request to move the shed out to the Leapy track.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Yes, John, what size is this shed?
It's 12 by 20.
12 by 20.
And I have some pictures here of that shed if you'd like to see.
We had them in our packet
Oh,
at the last
okay,
meeting.
yeah, they're in the packet, that's right,
Was
yeah.
it
Was it last-
structurally sound-looking
meeting.
shed?
Last meeting?
Yeah, last meeting, Judy, okay?
Okay, and in sharing with the the HYYA, is that correct?
HYAA.
HYA, how is that going to be done?
Well, it's going to have to have some more discussion on that with the clubs present, you know what I mean? We're going to invite them to a meeting and kind of hash that over.
Yeah, because the HYA was there a while before the lacrosse
Yes.
appeared.
And Ingrid has already spoke to some folks in that, you might have some comments on that conversation?
Just that they have agreed to, I can come up if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, thank you.
Just that, now, the lacrosse club said that their storage needs right now are not going to take up that entire shed, and they're completely amenable to working with Bobby Laws, with HYAA, and whatever they need. And so as the requests come in, we deal with them.
Great. Just want to
Okay, I
comment.
just, wanted to,
Sure.
because when we're sharing space, sometimes
Oh, yeah,
there
no,
are
I understand.
differences.
I understand.
Okay.
The, obviously, one of the things we need to do is get together with our users, with the recreation folks, and talk about our long-term plans. And as a committee, we'll either decide how we're going to phase things and how we're going to raise the funds, and that certainly remains to be done. But we do have some very good plans for that facility, and we look forward to completing them.
I'm glad to hear that, Rodney, because I was sharing with John just prior to the meeting that I think it's important that we have an open, regular dialogue with each of the youth
Yes,
user
that's-
groups.
That's the plan.
Just because I know sometimes, there's a desire for programs to expand, and sometimes we might not have the space, as we saw with the birth of the Leafy Field, when we had to grow some new field space. So I think if we're having a regular dialogue, which it sounds like exactly what you're planning, we'll be able to look out in the future and hopefully be able to address the needs in a more planful way rather than in a reactive way. So I'm really happy.
I might also mention that Ingrid has begun, well, she already put together a list of items that need to be accomplished, and we're going to be prioritizing that list and discussing it, so.
Great. Great.
We've learned that growth presents many challenges and opportunities, and it's good the way that they're being handled. Thank you. We had a motion and a second. Can we have a voice roll call on that, Mrs. Anderson, please?
Sure. Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes,
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you.
Mayor, before we move on, just going back to the consent agenda, I do want to point out, bringing up the topic of grants, that we did approve several resolutions for some of our staple grants, like Click It or Ticket, distracted driving. We kind of get those every year. But we also did the resolution for the reconstruction of Malaga Road, which was pretty significant at $190,000 grant money that we're getting from the state, as well as some FEMA money and our community wildfire protection grant, which is a newer one that we've had in the last couple of years with working with the State Forest Fire group. And so just really great stuff, and I just wanted to make sure we highlight that
Good.
since Judy brought it
Thank
up
you.
earlier.
yes, I'd also like to note that Sustainable Jersey Small Grant Program yielded $2,000, which is the first grant that
Good.
Green Team have secured.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ingrid.
You're welcome. Item 12, Personnel. Appoint Chad Spitzer as Maintenance Carpenter 2 at $36,909.26 annually per collective bargaining agreement, effective date to be determined, and with the condition he must obtain a CDAL license within 90 days of hire as a condition of continued employment.
so moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? Roll call, Mrs. Anderson, please.
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes,
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
and Mayor Silva.
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. B, appoint Christopher Ayer, a part-time communication officer, dispatcher, at $15 per hour, effective May 18, 2015.
I'll move that.
Second?
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Roll call, Mrs. Anderson.
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishar?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Bob, I'm going to take C and D together, as long as there's no objections, okay?
That's fine.
Authorize for advertising one full-time temporary labor, and authorize for advertising for one full-time communication officer.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Roll call, Mrs. Anderson.
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Go ahead, Judy.
I didn't, I wanted to make a comment about something on the consent agenda. Can I do that?
Sure, go ahead. We're still up here. Go ahead.
Okay. I understand the VAB for supplies and rental actually should be $240 and not $140. The cost of the hall was quoted as $200. I think Rodney was in on that conversation about the $200 cost
Yeah, that was,
instead of a $100 cost.
we got a request from the chairman board for $140. It should be $240, and that was just a communication problem, but he will send a letter in correcting that. This covers the facility cost, and it's a very, very nominal fee. Normally, the VFW charges, I think it's $450 or $500. This one is $200 to house the people that attend, those that want to come after the Veterans Ceremony, Memorial Ceremony.
So do you want to approve 240 tonight?
If we could, yes. that
Okay,
would
so
be-
what you need to do is to amend the consent agenda vote to remove A and take a separate vote on it. That's one motion.
B.
B.
It was
Is
B.
it B?
Yeah.
B, I'm sorry. So someone should entertain a motion to remove B from the former vote of the consent agenda.
All right, well, so moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now you need a separate vote on B at $240.
So
I'd
moved.
like to propose that we amend that to make it $240.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Mrs. Anderson, could we get a voice roll call on that, please?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
And Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
And just a quick mention, the VFW,
Thanks, Judy.
the VFW is providing the chairs, among other things, for the ceremony.
Okay. Next item's approvals. A, May 4th, 2015, regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. B, May 4th, 2015, executive session minutes.
So moved.
Second.
May I have a roll call on that?
On the executive or both?
On the executive.
No, the
Yes.
executive.
Ms.
we get-
Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
May 13th, 2015, executive session minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All, roll call, Mrs.
please.
You're same.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
D, payroll and bills totaling $1,556,423.21.
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? Can we have a vote? Roll call, please, Mrs. Anderson.
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
14, reports. Administrator.
I have nothing to add to it.
Mr. Solicitor.
Just one thing, Township Committee has authorized me to draft the pilot program for the tax abatement in the Industrial Business Park District. It's a challenge, and I had hoped to get it on for tonight, but I will get it on for the first meeting in June. But with your permission, whether or not you introduce it, I would like to address it with the Industrial Commission 2 days after your next meeting. So if you introduce, I can have comments from them, because there are some nuances in the statute.
Okay.
We want to get it done, but we want to get it done right. So I'll have it on the next agenda for
Is
you.
everyone all right with that?
Yeah,
I'm fine
sounds
with
good.
it.
Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Solicitor.
Mr. Mayor, just as a point of order on the May 13 executive session minutes, that was for our special meeting to interview CFO candidates, and neither Rodney nor Judy were there, so
We shouldn't.
Oh,
should they have abstained?
Oh, that's right.
I didn't realize that.
Oh, yep, that's right.
Well, let's do the same thing that we did before. Let's revoke the former approval for the minutes, and we'll take a second vote.
All right, make a motion to revoke the formal approval of 13C.
Second.
Second.
Okay, now, May 13th.
Wait, you have a motion and a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Make a motion to approve May 13 executive session minutes.
Second.
You can't, Judy.
I can't second.
I'll second it.
I
Have a
can't
motion
even
and
second that motion.
No, you can't.
No,
Yeah, and a
you
motion
weren't
and a second. Mrs. Anderson, can we
I
have a roll
was
call?
there
there. You all right?
Yeah.
in,
I'm ready to do the Heimlich if needed, don't worry.
in spirit.
Not till I swallow my water.
Ms. Gatto,
Yes.
Mr. Gishard,
Yes, and I apologize for not catching that.
No,
Well, you need to
abstain.
abstain.
Oh,
you have to abstain.
Okay, there we go.
Mr. Kurtz,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Abstain.
Mayor Silva.
Yes. Thank you.
Amy.
and by the way,
I
just,
did not know that.
I like when I can keep the lawyer on his toes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the administrator did
Doesn't
try to schedule
specifically
this
say CFO.
so that everybody would be there, but it was an impossible task. I had a conflict, and Judy wasn't here, so Ms. Link wasn't here, so we just went ahead with it. It's a very important position. We need to fill it as soon as possible.
And I don't think I was here.
I was at a,
Do you have anything else, Mr. Solicitor?
Nothing.
Thank you. Mr. Engineer?
Mayor, since we are on world record pace this evening, I have nothing to add to my original report.
Yeah, but while you're there, I just want you to know, we got a lot of great comments about the section paving that was done on Holly Street.
And hopefully we'll get the same comments on Malaga Road, because that was done last Thursday.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Mayor.
excellent.
Township Committee members, Judy?
I did see Bob on Park Road today.
I was out there sweating, that's true.
So you know he's working, Judy. Have you been checking up on him?
Absolutely.
Good.
No, to be honest, I was away at a convention, a roller skating convention, when this interview went forth, but it sounds like the interview was very successful. And so we hope to have an answer. I was reflecting upon Memorial Day services, and I said to Bob Campbell, who is organizing the event, I said, I would like to speak about my relatives who were in the service for both World War II, in the specific, actually, both were in the European theater. One lost his life doing a reconnaissance flight. Two of them one was in the Navy and one was in the Army, Uncle Bill and Uncle John. But I'd like to point out that my grandmother, Hazel Wagner, was very diligent before all this, communications was going on. She kept everyone in her area informed as to where their son was or daughter. And that was a labor of love. So,
Nice comments, Judy. Is that it, dear?
Yeah.
John?
I'd just like to mention, I met with some members from the Merchants Association. We have some exciting events coming up for our community. Those dates are the hometown celebration, June 27th and 28th at Lake Lenape Park. We also have the Wine Festival, which is getting bigger every year. That's September 26th and 27th at the park. Also, we're doing July and August movie nights, the Merchants, and that'll be held at the War Memorial Park. So it's quite a few things coming up for the community and the businesses together to get our residents involved in. I think it's really, really, really good that that's going to happen. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
I'd just like to add to that, the Pooch Parade application and bulletin is up on the Merchants Association
Website. That's
website,
good.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Ronnie?
Yeah, I just want to add the May 25th Memorial Day celebration is almost here. It's going to have great participation. It'll be community-wide participation with the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, the Fire Department, and various others. And by the way, I found out that we had either 16 or 17 Girl Scout units here, which I wasn't aware of. But it's going to be, and we're going to have some good singing and good speakers. So I would encourage everybody to attend and also to come and get refreshments at the VFW building afterward. It was mentioned that Bob has played a key role in this, and others on the VAB have also. So we look forward to seeing you there. I attended the Township officials meeting. I won't say there was anything of particular note out of it, except to say that everyone is anxious to find out what impact the county taxes are going to have on us. I think John just mentioned to me that the county school tax will increase by, was it 9 cents?
9.9.
Yeah.
0.9.
And we're going to have other increases coming also, so everybody is concerned about that. The green team has been doing a fantastic job. The last meeting, we talked about a number of projects, just to mention a few. There's the community garden, there's the rain barrel workshop, the storm drain effort, prescription drug drop-off, film series, a TED Talk session, which would probably be at the library. A lot of great stuff going on with a lot of enthusiastic people, and I once again would encourage people to come on out. It's the first Thursday of the month at 6:30 now, and it's in this building, so I would encourage you to attend. Just a quick mention, I participated in a 100-mile bike ride this weekend, and
You didn't see
Just-
my son?
I didn't see you walk. That's what reminded me of that. Yeah, his son rode down to Washington over 2.5 days. But people probably don't need to remind you of this, but we really have a fantastic area for those kinds of rides. And for people that don't like hills, it's ideal. But it doesn't take long. You go 5 miles out of here, and you'll hardly ever see a car. You meet some great people. I met, among other people, a couple from Washington, one of whom was the general counsel for the D.C. mayor, female lawyer, and her husband was a big person at OMB. I mean, these are some of the kinds of people you meet on these, and I would encourage people here. There are all kinds of bike rides organized locally every week, and encourage you to think about it. I guess that's all I have. Thank you.
Where do they find out about them, Rodney?
Well, they're on the website. There is a website, South Shore, SCCS. Anyway, you can look it up on the web, or ask me if you can't find it. But they have a schedule every week, and not only that club, and many clubs. And by the way, the rides, all kinds of rides. We have one guy who likes to stop every place he goes and take pictures, and a very, very slow ride, very sociable. Of course, there are people that go fast also, and just all types, so, yeah. And it's a great area for it.
Amy?
Thanks. First, I just want to commend all of our fire, rescue, police. Even I think the tech center was involved, the sheriff's department, in the Public Safety Awareness Day that was held at the Hamilton Mall on Saturday. It turned out to be a beautiful morning. I was a little scared when I started to feel a couple little raindrops, but I just think it's amazing that our volunteers from 5 fire departments not only volunteer their time to respond to fires, but to do things like this in the community, to go out and provide a public awareness, but also provide just a nice event for families to come out to and kids to really be able to explore the fire trucks, get to know the firemen, get to know policemen, get to know, even the electric company was there doing some demonstrations with transformers, and of course, Atlantic City Electric is a great partner with us. And it was just a really, really wonderful event. Just a lot of great partners that were there. And I believe it was just completely homegrown, organized by all of our local emergency responders, the rescue squad. So everybody did a fantastic job, and just want to make sure that I recognize their efforts and commend them all for the work that they do, just in general. And Mr. Mayor, I know you were working, and I passed on your regards to everybody. With regard to safety, Roger and I have been having a couple of subcommittee meetings just talking about our fire apparatus purchases as we go forward now that the capital budget is approved. I know, Mike, you've also met with the rescue squad just to touch base on the ambulance purchase. So we're just continually keeping our eye on what's coming up next and planning, for those big apparatus purchases in the next couple of years. So more to come on that as we move along. We have a very exciting day. It's one of my favorite days of the year coming up on May 28th. It's Youth and Government Day. So 8th graders from William Davies Middle School will be coming here, shadowing not only all of us, but many of our department heads and employees, and it's really a great day, and our staff, I know Lisa does a ton of work, but a bunch of our staff does a lot of work to really make it a meaningful day. I don't know if there's a couple of potential 8th graders in the audience there. Okay, I like
Already.
it. Very
Look at that.
diligent.
Great.
That's great to see. But I particularly love the day because I shadowed Joe Nichols the year I did it, back in the 90s. And I was really inspired that day, and that's when I knew I wanted to get involved in public service at some point, and who knew that about 15 or so years later I would actually run with Joe and become successful. So he was a great mentor to me even from that point when I met him. So hopefully you guys will be just as inspired next week as well. And we have a great topic, which is road programs and how to prioritize road programs, something that is near and dear to all of us, and we're all impacted. So I'm looking forward to see what the kids have to say on that topic.
Right, if I might just add on to your comments about the fire department, I had an opportunity to talk with some other officials, town officials, and one I talked to had a town, I don't know, it was a few square miles. The population was about equivalent to ours. They had 240 people. Now, we have 120. And part of that was because they don't have a volunteer fire department, so it makes a big difference.
Oh, it does make a
Sure
difference.
it does.
And just to comment on the school budget, so last week we were informed that the K-8 district did not approve their school budget, which was looking at a 9.9% tax increase. I know I fielded many calls, emails, text messages from residents who were frustrated with that scenario, and I relayed the comments I was getting to the mayor. And Roger and Mike reached out to the county superintendent, the acting county superintendent, and asked that she really take a diligent look at the budget and just see what can be done. We all know what it's like to make very tough decisions up here, things that are unpopular, things that are hard to do, but it's in the name of some fiscal sanity. I know the challenges that the school boards face, having sat on the school board, and I understand that school budgets are much different than municipal budgets. But with that said, I feel that the 9.9 cent tax increase is absolutely ludicrous. And I understand today that it was approved by the county superintendent with no change. And that is very frustrating to not have had any change and not to even have received a phone call from her at all. Very frustrating. So, I guess we'll see what happens. I understand that there's already a deficit going into next year. I really hope that the school board steps up to the plate and, really combs through and makes some decisions that are hard but are necessary to keep this town affordable for our residents. That is our number one goal up here, And it's very hard to maintain that. But the first step is attaining it, and they need to get on that path. So with that, I know, Mr. Mayor, I don't know if you're going to say a couple comments about our CFO interviews, but I found it very interesting, some of the things that people came to the table with from, who were here interviewing for the CFO position. People who had maybe a 1 square mile town, a 3 square mile town, 15 square mile town, and whether or not they were comparable to us. But I think the thing that we heard over and over again from each candidate, based on the research they had done prior to coming in, was that they were surprised at our budget and in what great shape it was in. One even felt that our budget could be the model for the state. She really had a lot of great things to say about it.
She wanted the job.
They all did. They all proved that they wanted it. There were many comments about our there were many comments about our paying down debt and our debt stance. And there was note of our pay-as-you-go and cash programs. And again, another note that we have really not been raising taxes here. I just think it's commendable, and again, it kind of reiterates all the hard work that we're all doing up here, and it's nice to kind of hear it from some outsiders. So just some really positive things coming out of those interviews.
Thank you. Yeah, it was very disappointing to hear, and I didn't hear it, I heard it from a second source, that the interim superintendent did pass the budget. I had reached out to her last week, Mike and I did, and I had told her that the comments that I had heard from people in the public was, well, the interim superintendent will just rubber stamp the budget and pass it. And I think once I had a number of those comments, I thought it was time for a conversation with the superintendent. And I relayed those comments on to her, and she reiterated to me that she would go through the budget line by line by line. And ironically, we went through in our discussion what has to be somewhere around 12 or 13 weeks now, including today, when you open up the paper every Monday, and you see no less than a dozen, as high as 18 pages of sheriff's sales, that the public is going through a very difficult time, and that the public in our community and other communities can't afford any more tax increases. That's why when Amy made the comment that we passed the municipal budget without any tax increase, we always have our residents in mind, and obviously I was disappointed to hear that, and I know it's gonna hit hard on many people. The positive thing was we got our rating from Standard & Poor. We're going out for a bond sale tomorrow. The amazing thing was our bond rating is a AA-, and the biggest negative comment was Atlantic City and the high unemployment in the county as reflected as a result of Atlantic City. But it did point up all the strong points. So if any of you have an opportunity, you can see the Standard & Poor rating. It's all positive stuff about our community, how strong our outlook is, and how we manage the finances here. But it's also disappointing that we can't pass the goodness on to our public, because when they get their tax bill, they're going to think we raise taxes, and we don't. We just send out the tax bills. We spend 29 cents on every dollar. The schools spend 53.3 cents on every dollar. The county approximately 17 or 18. We're still waiting to find out what's going to happen in Atlantic City, and as a result of this so-called pilot, there hasn't been any action out of Trenton. Constantly, we want to hear news of it. You know, our CFO did leave and go to Atlantic City. Our former administrator is the state monitor there. It's just unfortunate that many of us are looking at numbers that are higher than we really ever considered that we would be looking at. And I know it has impacted the real estate market. I know it has impacted many markets today, retail businesses, everything. And we're aware of it, and obviously we've been trying to do our best. So we'll keep looking at everything and try to remember that the residents always come first in this community. We'll keep working on it. We started this week, I met with Reverend Ash, and Charlie Pritchard, and we started planning for the 9/11 event in September the 11th, and obviously, as things go on, we'll look at it. I guess, was it last week, the week before, we had the opportunity to attend the affair for Dr. Kesselman
yes.
out at Seaview? I will tell the public here that we're losing one great resident who served this township exceedingly well, served on a school board. He was a member of this township committee those years that we eliminate the structural deficit here. He was a primary force in getting us to do strategic planning so that we could lay out and look ahead 3 to 5 years ahead. And if you were in that room that night, it was mobbed. There had to be over 400 people there. And what I felt in that room was just the admiration, the respect, the loyalty, the love for an individual who has given so much to an institution, and they're going to have a hard time replacing him. He's just an outstanding person, him and his wife, and I know our community is going to miss him well. I know he takes over as president of the University of Southern Maine July 1, and I know, and he's the interim president now at Stockton University, and Harvey's just become a good friend, and I'm sorry to see him go as a resident. The other thing I will tell you is that we did have interesting people apply for the position of CFO, and it is amazing the level of understanding that these candidates have today, whether it's a small budget that they manage or a large one. There was one that was from a town that was hit very hard by Sandy. It wiped out probably 3/4 of the town. Of the 1,200 homes, I think 730 or 40 were destroyed. They're still trying to put it back together, and there's a lot of towns on the coastline here that are still trying to put their homes back together. And we have to remember, too, that there's many issues out there that people are facing and the hardships on top of everything that we're looking at with unemployment and structural problems that they have. The other thing I'll tell you, Judy, you made interesting comments about your family. I don't usually brag about it, but, I was born on Pearl Harbor Day, and it wasn't until I was older in life that I realized I saved somebody's life by being born that day. My uncle was stationed at Schofield Air Barracks in the Army Air Force, and he left the day before to come stateside to visit his sister, my mother. Had he been there, he probably would have lost his life. So as I look back at that day, I think about the significance of a lot of people, a lot of service men and women who lost their lives and all the efforts that they put on, and probably we just can't ever say enough and do enough to remember the losses that we have. But I think it was something that General Patton said. He said, we should not mourn the loss of our servicemen and women. What we should is be thankful that they lived. And those words have very much meaning, and I think it's significant at this time of the year to remember them. With that, I'll open it up to the public. Anyone in the public wish to make any comments?
One brave soul tonight.
How are you this evening, sir?
My name is Robert Laws, or Bobby Laws, new president of the HYAA. I heard some things here in the meeting tonight that I just wanted to clarify. One, I have spoken with Ingrid about working with the other organizations. We want to be fair. This organization has been in existence for about 9 years, and for 9 years we've been moving around and trying to find a home for our kids. But we service a larger group of kids. We service kids who don't make the weight class with some of the other leagues. We service some kids who are privileged and can't afford to do, play sports at other levels. But we service the other part of this community. And I just think it's time that we do the right thing, not just by the organization, but by the kids. And Mr. Kurtz and I have spoken, Mr. Silva and I have spoken on numerous occasions. And I thank you guys for, your ear at all times and your readiness to be able to jump in and help out. The thing I want to be clear about today, though, is the shed issue. We have actually requested a shed of our own, same exact size, 12 by 20. We're hoping to put it in the opening by the end of the football field, the lighted football field. We want to be more involved in that facility. We want to, be able to have a say in what's happening over there. Not that we're going to make any demands or anything like that, but we want to be able to work with you guys in making that area successful. We've brought to you guys the NFL, where they were willing to come in and bring some grant money and some matching dollars and so on and so forth. But my feeling right now is just that we do have to do a better job of communicating with everyone. Ingrid and I have been communicating, and then we communicate, and then we've communicated. But anything that I've gotten, as soon as it's gotten into my hands, I've run to you guys with it. It's even bringing the NFL into the office unannounced. But I've done it. But what I'm asking you guys to do now is to please, work with us. We'll work with you. We're patient. But it's been 2 years we've been waiting to play on the field. The MLAA has, voiced their opinion in reference to us playing on their field too, how much wear and tear that field is taking. It doesn't get a day off. Every weekend somebody's playing on it, either their team or our team. But it gets difficult because you kind of feel like the half-brother in this situation. And I don't want these kids to feel like that. We had a young lady, commit suicide last year. I mean, the concept is that our organization is the not-so-good organization. It's the organization that if you can't make it here, you make it there. I don't want to see another child bullied in our school because our organization isn't taken seriously. I need to take that stand for this organization. Me as a new president and a parent of a child on the team who's been bullied in school. But you know what? Every day, we're making them prouder. Every day, and every time I, come to you guys for help, you guys have been, stand up. I got to admit, you've been stand up. But I need you guys to work more diligently in helping us get that field ready. It's been 2 years that we've been told that the field was going to be ready for play. We were just out there, my partners in crime have all been out there to the field to take a look at it over the past couple of weeks, and it is in no condition to play on. I'm not sure how to make grass grow. I have the brownest thumb there is, but I don't have a green thumb. I know nothing about getting that field in order, but I do know that the field can't have rocks and sand. I don't care what you have, it's not growing in rocks and sand. Maybe palm trees, but grass just isn't growing in rocks and sand. And that's what you have there right now. So I don't know whose responsibility it is. I don't know who is supposed to get that field together. And I may be stepping on some toes right now. I apologize. I'm just here to fight for these kids that are part of the HYAA. Ms. Link, thank you so much for the consideration as to how this whole shed thing was going to work. That's a great question. We did say that because we wanted to bring our own shed in, because we have equipment and stuff like that that we're going to have to store there, that the shed that we have now, the share shed that we have now, we'd be more than happy to, pass that off to the lacrosse team. And that was, our position on the sharing of the shed. So we wanted to put our own shed out there and then give them the space that we have there. Now, lacrosse does need equipment, but it has nowhere near the need that football has for space with equipment, with helmets and shoulder pads and all the big pads and stuff. I mean, we had some pads donated by the high school, by Oakcrest. I don't know what the value of these pads are, but we started looking at some for ourselves, just to add to what we had. And there's got to be about $4,000 to $5,000 worth of pads that are laying on the ground, on the field, because we have no place to put them. That's a shame. We should really, really be looking hard at helping these kids out and getting these kids where they need to be so they can go to school proud when they wear the uniforms on Friday. Thank you.
If you don't mind, Mr. Laws, I actually worked pretty closely with the predecessor, and I was looking forward to meeting you, and he was supposed to get us in contact, which I guess didn't happen. But some of the things you say, some of the impressions that people have about the team, I don't know where that came from. But I mean, we're certainly going to have to work on that. Regarding your storage facility, This is the first I've heard, actually, that I think we just recently got your request. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Yes. And that's the first I've heard about your offer and about the other things. I'm glad you're looking forward to working with us because that's what we need. And as I said, we're going to try to we will set up a user feedback group, but we need you to work with us and you and your team members. We certainly want to make that field, the whole facility, serve everybody. This is the first I've heard about the field being in, rocks and all the rest of it. I don't think we made any promises that we haven't kept so far.
My suggestion is that you guys take a day out of a little time out of your day to just stop over there and take a look.
Now, you're not talking about the practice field. You're talking
No,
about
sir.
the,
We're talking about the playing field. The field has lights, which is great. We don't have night games, neither do any of the other organizations. And you guys spent a lot of money on those lights. Thank you, but we would have rather have the field, completed.
well, unfortunately, we can't rush the field. If we put some AstroTurf out there, we might be able to get it going, but that costs a
Well, sir, that
fortune.
was actually an option. The NFL has offered to pony up $250,000 towards a turf field, as long as we use their services. But, Ingrid and I spoke about that, and there may be some concern about not Green Acres, but what's the term?
No.
Pinelands?
Right, that they may not be able to put the turf out there. But, yeah, that was,
Well, that's something we should be able to find out, I would think.
I agree with you 100%. I
Yeah.
agree with you 100%.
All right, we hope to be having more contact in the future,
Is
but
it
we need to
permeable?
keep in communications.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience?
If I may.
Uh-oh,
I've only done this once before,
I know.
but I was moved by Judy's comments and by other comments, Mr. Mayor, and I'm proud that Rodney Guichard was a veteran of Vietnam. But 70 years ago this week was Victory in Europe Day. And 70 years ago today, my father's prisoner of war camp was liberated. He was a 23-year-old kid flying his 21st mission, his last mission. You fly 21 and you're out. He was a navigator on a B-17 called Shadrach. He was shot down. They thought they made it to Switzerland. They were taken in by a farmer who the next day turned him into the Gestapo. And for the following year, he spent in Stalag Luft 3. And Stalag Luft 3 was where the Great Escape happened. True story. And when I heard Judy's comments and yours, Roger, I thought of my son, Patrick, who's been studying this. And I've never really had the time or the opportunity to stand in front of the public and tell you about my father. But he never talked about it. He used to go duck hunting, and I'd say, "Hey, Pop, what was it like to be in prison?" And he'd say, "Boy, I know what it's like to be hungry, and I know what it's like to be cold." This was the kind of men that fought that war that ended 70 years ago today. I'm proud of every single human being I see in a uniform. Men or women in the Wawa, I buy their coffee, I buy their sandwiches, I'm proud to. But I think back to those young men and women and the folks today that leave this country like you did, Roger, with the Vietnam. I got lucky. The war ended when I was 18. And when I hear the comments that you made, Judy, it made me think about my dad. And the reason I'm standing here right now is to tell you all that we should be so proud of every single human being that puts that uniform on, regardless of what part of the world they go to. And I felt absolutely compelled to stand up here and say this. And I also feel equally as compelled to say the following. Whether it was Charles King, Harvey Kesselman, Tom Parliamentary, or the five of you, what I have seen from that seat in the last 8 years has been nothing short of remarkable. To do away with the structural deficit as you have, to make this community what it is, should serve as a model not to every town in New Jersey, but to every state in the country and the country itself. I think what you have accomplished is nothing short of remarkable. And I don't know why I feel compelled to stand here and say this now, because I guess I've got my father in me. He became a senator and a congressman and a judge, and I'm none of that. I'm a baseball coach from Mays Landing, New Jersey, and damn proud to be it. But when I hear about what's happening in the county and when I hear about what's happening in Atlantic City, the people in this town owe you, Charlie, Harvey, Tom, Eileen, and the 5 of you, a debt of gratitude. And I am sincere in my statements that if the rest of the country could do what you did, it would be a better place. Thank you.
Thanks for your
Bob.
comment.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
You're being modest too, Bob. You're not just a baseball coach, you're a mediocre lawyer too.
Yeah. I do it for fun.
You're pretty good, and we appreciate all you do, not just in supporting us and representing us, both here and at the Industrial Commission, but your support of our veterans and your donations for our Honor and Remember program don't go unnoticed, and we really appreciate all that.
But my grandson says I'm a better baseball coach than I am a lawyer.
Okay, well, what Zach says is true.
Does anyone else in the public wish to speak?
Move to close public portion.
Second.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Executive.
Next thing is the executive session. Mrs. Anderson?
Yeah, are we coming back out?
Probably.
Probably.
Be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Hamilton that this meeting be adjourned to an executive session to discuss the matter of the CFO position, Chief Financial Officer's position, which is exempt from public discussion pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law. Be it further resolved that the governing body will reconvene in public session and confirm the results of the executive session if there is a majority consensus for action to be taken on the matter tonight.
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
The motion is second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adjourn to executive session. Good, we got it.
It's U.S.
And let the record reflect that Lisa went out and checked, and there's nobody else outside waiting to come back into public session.
Okay. With that, do we have,
Make a motion to authorize a resolution to make an offer to a possible CFO candidate with the terms to be discussed through the administrator.
Second.
motion is second. Any questions or comments? Can we have a voice roll call on that, Mrs. Anderson?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gouchard? Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Good. Do you have a-
Move to adjourn at 7:54.
I'll second that. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. By the way, Cindy, while you're there,